Hey, it's Heidi. Welcome back for another video. I'm so glad you're here. How do you trust your intuition? When is it your intuition is telling you something, and when is it the crazy making behavior in our head that's leading us down a rabbit hole that's not real? How do you tell the difference between those two things? And why is this so important? Well, likely if you clicked on this video, there's something pretty important you need to figure out, and your intuition is telling you one thing, but then you're starting to question and you're confused. And that confusion is leading you to paralysis, likely, or just not knowing which direction to go. And a question like this is most useful in really kind of challenging situations like, should I stay or should I go in my relationship? Maybe you're wondering, is my intuition telling me the person that I'm with is cheating on me or they're not being faithful? Should I end this thing that's not working for me anymore? Should I move on? Should I break up? Maybe you have a person in your life who is not sober and you're like, are they high? And you're starting to wonder all these things and your intuition and your head are cloudy and you really want to know the difference between those two things. Boy, are you in the right place today, because that's what we're going to talk about. I'm Heidi, by the way, and I've spent the last 20 years helping people navigate their way through difficult relationships with difficult people. As a relationship coach, I've dedicated my whole entire practice to really getting underneath the hood and getting into the root of our relationship challenges so that you can have the relationships that you really deserve. There's not a worse position to be in, really, right? Than wondering if you're crazy, because that's what you do. You're like, am I crazy or is this really happening? So let's talk about how to know the difference between your head telling you one thing and your intuition telling you another thing. And if you find value today in this video, please, for the love of all that's holy, subscribe to the video, like it. So basically you're helping me, right? Because more people can learn about the videos and learn about the coaching. And if you want more help, go over to lovecoachheidi.com at any time and schedule a free consultation. All right, but let's get into it. Notice when I talked about, first of all, the difference between where your intuition is and when you're crazy making. Okay, one is here and one is here. So let's think about that. Have you ever, without something so charged up like your relationship, have you ever in your life had an experience where you walked into a room full of people or walked into a place and you were like, oh hell no, oh hell no? You walked in and you're like, your gut was like churning and burning, hun, right? It was like, oh man, this is not a good scenario. We need to get out of here. It's happened to me before where maybe you're an empath like that too, or I've walked into a thrift store one time. I don't even know where it was, like in Missouri somewhere. I'm a thrifter and I just love finding these little shops, and I walked in and I was like, oh shit, don't touch nothing. All right, get up out of here because there's some weird energy in here. And I bet you, if you think about that, you have had that same experience, right? It just so happens it's easier to delineate your intuition when there's nothing emotionally attached to it, like a relationship you're trying to save, a person you want to be with, a situation you want to be one way when it's another way. So we have this center that's pretty clear. It doesn't really give us mixed signals at all. The gut is crystal clear always. What's not so clear? Our head. Our head is a sometimes wonderful playground, sometimes a wonderful place to be, and sometimes it's like a medieval torture device, all right? Because it just runs in these loops, and I call that with my clients the psychological shredder. And here's how the shredder works. You know something in your intuition, like they're not being faithful, are they cheating, should you break up, should you end your relationship, are they into you, do they really like you, are they seeing somebody else, are they using drugs? You know, you have all these questions and you feel a certain way, some type of way in your gut, and then all of a sudden that feeling travels up to your head where the shredder takes over. And the shredder's main purpose is actually to avoid pain. You're born in, we're born, our pain sensors outnumber our pleasure sensors 10 to 1. Your brain is hardwired to avoid pain. So if this thing is thinking something in the gut that's painful, it's not a big deal for me to walk out of a thrift store, okay? It's a big deal for me to walk out of a marriage. It's a big deal for me to realize that somebody doesn't want to be with me and face rejection or potential abandonment or whatever thing I might get triggered up about. It's a big thing to potentially try to leave that job I've been at for 15 years and not know if I should or not. So the shredder goes, we need to stay safe here. Let's shred this stuff. Let's paralyze us so that we don't have to make any of those really scary moves. And it's really it's trying to protect you, but it's really killing you, right? So the shredder goes, let's just take, are they cheating, right? And your intuition is telling you, oh yeah, something's up, something's up. And it goes up to the shredder. The shredder doesn't want it to be true, because what would that mean if it was true? Well, if we personalize somebody's behavior, it means maybe you could go, well, I'm not lovable. They love somebody else more than me. I'm not desirable. I'm going to be alone. Nobody wants me. You start, and then you go, and then you don't want that to be true. So the shredder goes, well, maybe they're not cheating. They're probably not cheating because, well, I didn't really catch them in the act. I was with somebody for 10 years. Where my intuition was like, man, he's on the prowl. All right. He's out there. He's looking. He's connecting with people. He's cheating. He's doing all these things. And I wanted him so badly at the time. I wanted him to be mine so badly that every time I had evidence in my gut, that's all the evidence I really needed, but I didn't want it to be true. So I would go up to my brain where I would go, but you don't really have the evidence. You don't really catch him in bed with anybody. You don't really want this to be, and the reality was I didn't want it to be true. So how do you start to know the difference here is let's pay attention to our body. So the somatic awareness is really important. Your intuition feels different than the psychological shredder. So is it in your head or in your gut? Where are you living? And if you're in your gut, you have that feeling in the pit of your stomach. You have that gnawing there. You have that emptiness. You have that indicator, that anxiety here, whatever it feels like. And you'll know you're on the wrong track. You've gotten off track when you can feel the energies start to come on. I don't be too woo-woo here, esoteric. It's legitimate. You can feel the shift because you go, I feel this way, but I think, boom. I feel this way, but I wonder. I'm not saying there's not a place for logic. Hey, my logo is a heart with a graduation cap on it. I'm all about marrying our heart and our head and using our logic in our relationship. But I'm not talking about that here. I'm talking about when you have this gnawing feeling in the pit of your stomach forever, and you continue to come up and notice the kind of thoughts that you have when you go, I feel, and then you go, but I think. Notice if it's attached to, I don't want this to be right. I don't want them to want, you start to have fear here. There's no fear in intuition. There really isn't. I mean, there could be a fear signal that signals the intuition. Like in the thrift shop, it's like, oh, this doesn't feel right. But intuition doesn't feel fearful in the action of doing what it wants me to do. There's no fear in going, yep, get out of here. That's a direct, a wonderful thing that it directs you. It goes, no, go left instead of right, right? Don't cross that road, cross this road. That's nothing fearful. It's like divine direction. It feels good when you follow it. So you start to know when you're traveling up here. The other thing is, if you've been with somebody for so long that's a unhealthy, dysfunctional or toxic person, and you're being gaslit, right? Somebody's been gaslighting you for a long time, or gaslighted, however we say the past tense of that, where if it is addiction and you're like, oh man, are they high? And your intuition knows. I grew up in an alcoholic household, and I remember my dad used to get out of the car, and I'd be sitting at the top of there was like a little hill, he lived on, and I would sit there in the chair outside and see him pull up, and just by the way the man stepped out of the car, I would go, 2 beers, 6, oh shit, run. I would know how much alcohol he had just by the way he exited the car and walked up the way. But if I didn't want him to be drunk, and I didn't want that to be true, he could walk up and I go, he's drunk. But then I go, I don't want that to be true. And then I go, and then I wait for him for evidence. No, I didn't drink anything. I go, oh yeah, okay, good. Right? Because I don't want it to be true. If it's your child and you have an intuition about them being off or something not right, just think and know. Your intuition already knows. It's your head that doesn't want it to be true. So what do you do about that? If you say, okay, Heidi, I know that's true. I know that's right. You're amen. Okay. What's the next step? Is to understand yourself and know, why is it so hard for you to untangle from somebody who is cheating on you or doesn't want to be with you, or it is time to go? What is it in you that is preventing you from loving yourself first and putting yourself first and making yourself a priority so that you take the action you need to and stop waiting for the mounting evidence, for the surefire. This is surefire. There's nothing up here that's more surefire than this. So likely you've known for a long time something's up, your intuition is right on, but you're having a problem following your intuition, and that's a separate question. How do I follow my intuition? And 9 times out of 10, that answer is not in a video, it's with a guide, it's with a support system. So somebody can take your hand and go, step 1, here we go. Step 2, here we go. Here's the next thing we need to do, right? I want to help you do that. I want to be your support system on the journey with you to rooting down in your real value, not settling for anything less than you deserve, finding your real authentic power, finding and speaking your truth, and knowing how to never settle again for less than you deserve in these relationships. Consider subscribing. There's lots of help over here on these videos that I make every single week for you. Also at lovecoachheidi.com. Significant help over there, and that's an investment for you. If you want me to come alongside of you, I'm more than happy to have a complimentary consultation with you to figure that out. And then I have some free resource groups for you. I have my Flow Tribe, which is a codependency support group on Facebook, Flow Tribe. And I also have another free support group on Facebook called Families Dealing with Addiction. And if you have that in your dynamic, you want to join me there. But if you're in a relationship with cheating or dysfunctional behavior, Flow Tribe is great. Families Dealing with Addiction is obvious. Personal one-on-one help, subscribe to the videos. Just so many opportunities here to grow, so many opportunities here to heal, and so many opportunities to love yourself first. All right, I love you. Have a great day and take care. I'll see you in another video really soon. All right, bye-bye.